These stills, dated March 2015, purport to show a man being thrown from a building. According to the last caption, he was also then stoned to death. His alleged crime, being gay. These images were posted by ISIS in its stronghold of Raqqa. This series as well, from January, show an older man seated in a chair and then tumbling to the ground. Also in January, these from ISIS in Mosul, 2 men murdered in the same manner. In all the photographs, dozens of people are seen watching the killings, seemingly unfazed. Noor, a gay Syrian man, says that makes the atrocious act even more nauseating.
And their facial expressions are really scary because they are not even scared of what's going on. They may be a little bit excited or maybe happy to get rid of homosexuals in the city.
Syria was never a nation that accepted its lesbian, gay, bisexual, and trans community. The country's laws criminalize homosexual acts, punishable by up to 3 years in prison. Since the revolution turned war, life for Syria's LGBT community has become even more dire.
It was not ISIS that forced Noor to leave Syria. Well before ISIS emerged as a significant force. In 2012, Noor saw this video. This is the only frame that is not too gruesome to show. The video depicts 2 men being beheaded. They're accused of being spies. But then towards the end of the clip, a voice references a verse from the Quran. And Noor says when he heard that, it became one of the main reasons why he decided to leave.
According to the posting, the video was filmed in Idlib, Noor's home province.
There's a very specific verse would say like, only this sin of homosexuality would shake the throne of God. So whenever we hear this on video or on audio, we know exactly that this meant for gay people. It was a moment of clarity, a moment of understanding that this place is not safe anymore.
Sami and his partner consider themselves already married. They fled after Sami's family found out they were together, and a car tried to run them over. 2 hours later, Sami's phone rang.
There was a man that was first he said, this time you could have made it and you survived, but the next time you will not.
In Istanbul, the couple lives in shared housing with other Syrian men. When the ISIS photos emerged, one of their Syrian housemates made a sickening comment.
He made a very absurd joke about he was so amused and he has so much fun watching homosexual, and he say now gay men can fly.
Fear of persecution continues to haunt them here. Arwa Damon, CNN, Istanbul.
As we track these new terror concerns at home and overseas, we are reminded of warnings we heard back in 2007. America was fighting the Iraq War. President Bush had just ordered U.S. troops to surge in Iraq, and critics were demanding that the U.S. withdraw the troops. When President Bush issued this frighteningly accurate, as it turns out, assessment of what would happen if we did that.
I know some in Washington would like us to start leaving Iraq now. To begin withdrawing before our commanders tell us we are ready would be dangerous for Iraq, for the region, and for the United States. It would mean surrendering the future of Iraq to Al-Qaeda. It would mean that we'd be risking mass killings on a horrific scale. It would mean we allow the terrorists to establish a safe haven in Iraq to replace the one they lost in Afghanistan. It would mean increasing the probability that American troops would have to return at some later date to confront an enemy that is even more dangerous.
Wow. Mark Thiessen is a fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, and he was President Bush's chief speechwriter at the time. He wrote that statement you just heard. How eerie. I mean, it's point by point by point what we are seeing today, Mark.
Every single thing that President Bush said there in that statement is happening today. Obama did withdraw our troops before the commanders on the ground said that we were ready to do so. General Austin wanted to keep 24,000 troops in Iraq. Obama went to zero. President Bush said that if we did that, there would be mass killings on a horrific scale. What are we seeing? Mass killings on a horrific scale. Executions, women and children being buried alive, crucifixions, beheadings of American journalists. President Bush said that if we withdrew before we were ready, then there would be Al-Qaeda would establish Al-Qaeda in Iraq, which is now ISIS, would establish a safe haven. They now control a swath of territory the size of Belgium. All of these predictions have come true, and of course, we're back there right now launching strikes.
That was the one that American troops, that would increase the probability that American troops would have to return at some later date to confront an enemy that is even more dangerous. There because President Obama just yesterday in addressing this mess that we're looking at over there seemed to put the blame on the Bush administration. Here he is.
Because of what's happened in the vacuum of Syria, as well as the battle-hardened elements of ISIS that grew out of Al-Qaeda in Iraq during the course of the Iraq War, it's going to take time for us to be able to roll them back.
Your thoughts on that?
He needs to have a little discussion with Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton's the one who said that the vacuum in Syria was caused by him doing nothing, which allowed the jihadists to fill it. And look, Al-Qaeda in Iraq, ISIS, was defeated when he took office. We had our boot on their necks. They had been defeated, and what he did is he withdrew all of our forces, which allowed them to regroup and reconstitute themselves. They moved into Syria. Remember, President Bush said that the chaos would spread to other parts of the world, and that's exactly what happened. They used that as a recruiting area from which to get jihadists from all over the world, and they entered into Iraq again. And he was being briefed for a year on this threat. He saw it coming and did nothing. So he's got nobody to blame but himself for the chaos that we're seeing in Iraq today.